Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallama wa baraka ala man la nabiyya ba'dah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdata min lisani yafqahu qawli. Once again, welcome all our viewers from wherever you are to the program, The Unfolding Truth. This is a program that is helping you demystify issues, metaphysical, that have always been mystified, things that you do not understand between these two religions, that is Islam and Christianity. But we don't only, engage in these two religions. We also diversify. We go to other religions as long as we can have a dialogue with them, as long as we can come to an understanding with them. But because I have a friend of mine here who is much closer, so we do engage with him. So we highlight matters Islam and matters Christianity. And that is why I'm now welcoming my brother, Oliver Leoton Erupe.
Thank you so much, my brother.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
All the way from Turkana.
Well, I'm part of Nairobi.
Is indeed far?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, yeah.
Or we just cruise
sometimes I fly, sometimes I travel by road.
But
the road now is good. Thank God for our government.
Mashallah.
We were able to put the road
Mashallah.
now.
So you just landed?
Yeah, well, I just came the other day.
Most welcome. My brother, today I want us to help the viewers.
Yes.
There's a question that has been bothering them.
Yes.
And according to our new our SMS feeds,
yes,
we got some multiple questions that were coming.
That's
and
right.
That informed
yes,
our topic of today.
That's right.
And what we are discussing today is the religion and politics.
And politics.
You see that?
Religion and politics.
Religion
and politics.
And politics.
Yes.
And we may want to know what is the space or the place of religion
yes,
in world politics.
In world politics.
We cannot bury our heads in the sand
yes,
and assume that, we are not affected by politics. We are.
We are.
When you buy a matchbox from the shop,
yes,
you have already paid a tax.
That's right.
And you have already paid the salary of the president.
That's right.
And of your MCA.
Yes.
And every other person.
That's right.
And the the MPs who are going to make laws in parliament
yes,
to govern your day-to-day life.
That's right.
Therefore, you will be deceiving yourself to think that you don't really belong to politics. Politics is there.
Yeah.
Now, but it has to be within the parameters.
Yes.
Now, the religion itself.
Yes.
What is its place in world politics? This is what we are going to discuss today.
That's right.
But when I peruse, when I try to look into the previous people, the notables, the nobles, who came before us, what they said about religion and politics. I got some few extracts. Thomas Jefferson said in 1802, he was writing a letter to the Baptist, association in Connecticut, the U.S.
Right.
He was writing a letter, and it was a long letter, but there's an extract where he said religious beliefs should be a private matter. See that?
Yeah.
Religious beliefs should be a private matter, and the government should not interfere with such matters. This was a letter to the Danbury Baptist Association.
Yes.
And, he established
a
boundary, a wall between state and the church. You see that? Yeah. And my viewers, honorable viewers, when we talk about church here, we mean religion. Because this is what they are talking about. Yani church here now means religion. Yeah. So I cannot go into, the finer details and say mosque, temple and all that. When we say church and religion, we mean religion and politics.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's what they meant. And when the First Amendment came in the U.S. Constitution, when the First Amendment came, they said the Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
That's right.
It is like they are not going to interfere with religion or going to support one religion above another.
That's right.
You see? And I think that has cascaded down to even our own constitution.
Yes.
And the government doesn't have its religion. It doesn't recognize either. And when George Washington now came much later, he said religion and morality are indispensable supports of our political prosperity.
That's right.
So George Washington understood the fact that religion is important.
Yes.
As we do what? as we play politics.
Yes.
Now, my cardinal question today, and which is going to form the basis of our discussion,
Yes.
what is the place of religion?
Yeah.
Wale watu wa dini, wale watu wa dini, uwe ni Muislamu, uwe ni Mkristo, uwe ni Hindu,
yes.
Be you a Jew,
yes.
confessing Judaism, because
yeah.
we have a Jewish community in Kenya, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they are everywhere. We have Hindu community, you know, and
yes.
the Sikh community, we have them everywhere.
Yes.
Now, what is their place in world politics?
Well, that reminds me, when you look at our constitution, because you've just referred to American constitution there.
Yes.
When you look at our constitution, the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the preamble says, we the people of Kenya, but it follows by saying, acknowledging the supremacy of the Almighty God of all creation. Even in our constitution, we acknowledge the supremacy of God the Almighty, who is God of all creation.
Yes.
But at the same time, we finish by saying, God bless Kenya.
Yeah.
And when you look at our national anthem, we say, oh God of all creation.
Bless this our nation.
Land. Yes. Now, and then we say, just be our shield and defender. Now, so we recognize God in all this.
Yes.
It just brings one thing about humanity. At the first, maybe according to the Bible, but I'm sure the Quran must have recognized that, because it recognizes the books that came before it.
Yes.
Like the Torah, Zabur, and Injil.
Yeah.
God is the one who is recognized as the creator of everything. Adam and Eve, and then there was procreation that came through birth. And then God was the one leading the world until when people said, we need a king. And so then they got a king. So the issue of kingship came. But before that, then the law came through Moses, the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
And even in the 10 Commandments, one of the commandments is not to worship any other God but him. So the issue of God being recognized in our life has permeated over history, over time in history. And now, here we are, two things started taking place. God, the church or religion exists to uphold God. But at the same time, the state where religion falls. Where politics falls. Because when we say, this thing actually has been taken in this way, they say, we are church and state. From church comes religion. Or rather, from religion comes church. So it is religion and it is law and religion. Others will say religion and law. When we say law and religion, from law comes the state. From religion comes the church. And so, Mosquito and all this fall within the same category. We are just using the church as an example, the way you mentioned.
Yes.
Now, church and state, or law and religion, they work hand in hand. Because what happens, we are people in a society, different people groups, different cultures, different tribal groups, different languages, but they have found themselves within a confine called a state, like now Kenya, and they become a nation, but different groupings. Now, these people worship different things, and they have their traditions, the do's and don'ts, customs. That's a sort of law that governs the way they do. But now, that is in their nuclear, which is monoculture, which is just one community like the Kikuyu or Luos. But now, different communities coming together have to have a law that governs all of them. That's how we pass the constitution in order to govern all of us. And we have to pass in a referendum so that we accept. But again, as people who pass that law and put a leadership that controls us in that manner through the governing of that law, the way we created the three arms of government, the executive where the president is and the cabinet, and then we created the parliament, legislature, to create laws for us or make laws for us, and then we created the judiciary, which will interpret laws. But then these are all coming and done in this combined society that is there together, laws that can govern all of them. But then within that same society, there is the issue of worship to an higher being. This is where the issue of religions comes in. There is worship to an higher being. Now, even those who are leading, who are controlling the state, who are controlling law or politics in that matter, again, are members of the same church. or religion. They are members of Christianity.
Yeah.
They are members of Islam. They are members of Hinduism, Buddhism. They are members of all these different faith-based institutions.
Yeah.
But all these faith-based institutions identify with this one umbrella institution called the state, where the law plays. And the law here, we bring our constitution, which we passed.
Yeah.
And from the constitution came acts of parliament. And from acts of parliament, then came other regulations and policies that guide the way we should conduct ourselves in a state. So basically, I say, yes, law and religion, church and state, they work hand in hand. One should not swallow the other. One should not swallow. Whenever there is a way in which one wants to control the other, then comes a conflict. But then there is harmony when they put sort of checks, the way the judiciary checks executive, and executive checks the legislature, or legislature checks the executive and checks the legislature. So these three arms of government check one another. Now, that is within the government. But at the same time, the law, which is the state, has to check the church also. In as much as Jefferson said that, he said there is freedom of worship. Now you say, but you have even allowed the devil to be worshipped. Because there are those who say they don't believe in God at all.
and I think that is my worry. Because, you know, when we are talking about religion here,
yes,
it is religion vis-a-vis secularism. And secularism, they don't have anything to do with religion, with God. Okay? When now they come and start making laws, those laws may, in a way or another, contravene God's laws. And now, I think we really need to dig deep into this and find our place as a religion.
yes,
When it comes to world politics, where should we be? To what extent should we do what? Should we engage ourselves? You see that?
yeah.
But I think it is a cardinal question that's coming, and we cannot tackle it until we come back from the break. So my viewers, we are running out shortly, but we are coming back in a few minutes. Don't go away. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our sitting of the Unfolding Truth. And today the topic we are dissecting is religion, the place of religion in world politics. Should religion, or should the church and the mosque and the temples and whatever you call them, should religion engage itself in politics? I think let me chip in a little bit.
yes,
The Islamic perspective of this is a little bit different.
yeah,
It is different in the sense that, give you an example of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet established an Islamic state, Islamic government, okay? When he was in Mecca for the 13 years, he was really persecuted there. He could not implement anything because he was in somebody's government, in a people's government, a government that was so draconian, a government that was it was persecuting her citizens. And therefore, practicing the laws of God were a little bit restricted in Mecca, and therefore it could not happen. So he was given an order to do hijrah, to migrate or emigrate from Mecca to Medina. When he reached in Medina, he established the first Islamic government, and everything was moving smoothly. Why am I bringing this story? I'm bringing this story because I know even in the Islamic fraternity, some people believe that you should not engage in politics. And I can't reiterate this enough. You must engage yourself in political issues because it is governing your life. And the Prophet himself established a government. Governance is politics. You see that? Governance is politics. It gravitates around economic issues, security issues, social issues, academic issues, a lot of things. The lives of people.
yes,
Your day-to-day life is politics. And if it is left in the hands of bad people, it is going to mess you. You see? Now, the Prophet established that government.
yeah,
He was the head of that government. See that? And he had his cabinet.
yes,
And it was decentralized to the probably ward level,
Yes.
the village level. You see? And that's where the Khalifas are now coming in, the Wali, those are the governors are coming in. He had representatives everywhere.
Yes.
So I personally believe, according to what I can recollect, and I stand to be corrected, my Muslim brothers, I do not have any monopoly on knowledge or wisdom. So therefore, I stand to be corrected, and I won't feel bad about it. But according to what I know,
yes,
religion should not be separated from state. Never. And if it is to be separated from state, that is from, the politics, now the politics that we are now talking about, then the politicians are going to get a leeway. They are going to rob, they are going to, corrupt the system, they are going to loot and do all manner of vices and get away with it. But the goodness of now religion being, prominently playing politics, it means they are going to regulate. They are going to be the thermometer of life, the thermometer of the state itself. So that when they go astray, religious people come in and they tell them, no, this is not good. But again, there is an element of our constitutions, which were written by people who had their own interest. And they say, you know what, it has to be separated from state. So our Islamic standpoint, or our theology tells us that we can engage in politics. And that is by example of Prophet Moses, alayhi salam, when he was leading the children of Israel in every aspect. During his time, there's nothing like there's a president there, there's a leader there, and there's Moses here. Moses was everything. And during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was the supreme leader. There is nothing like, there's a leader, there's some leader there, and the Prophet Muhammad here. No, it is Prophet Muhammad, the head of the Islamic State, cascading it down, representing everything. And the governance was just super. And to crown it, the last caliphate, the last Islamic system of governance was the Ottoman Empire, which was just destroyed in 1924. But it reigned for 800 years in Europe.
Yes.
And it is actually celebrated by the historians, dead and alive. They celebrate the governance under the empire of Ottoman. He said it was the best, and actually it was the longest serving. Therefore, we as Muslims, we cannot separate religion from politics. It has to go handy. I don't know whether that's the case in your place or you are contesting.
Well, look at Article 8 of our Constitution.
Yes.
This is Kenya's Constitution 2010. Article 8 on national symbols and national days says, there shall be no state religion. And it makes it clear like that, without purpose. I mean, giving any other things beyond that. There shall be no state religion. That's the position Kenya has taken as a state. And there's a reason for that. But then, one will, in the conference, say, if there shall be no state religion, then consequently then, there shall be no religious state. I know you're taking a position of religious state. Like, for example, you'll find in many Muslim countries, they say Islamic Republic, maybe of Saudi Arabia, Iran, or United Arab Emirates and such. Now, we cannot say, of course, there is a Christian republic in Africa. One of the countries in Africa was Christianized as a Christian nation. Whereas we are a Christian nation as Kenya, but we are not per se a Christian nation. We are a republic. Under this constitution, there is no state religion. The nation of Kenya doesn't have a religion. And because the nation of Kenya doesn't have a religion, then the nation of Kenya is not a religious state. It is a secular state for that matter. That's what it tells.
I agree with you.
I know the issue of secularism is what you want to condemn.
No.
It's what you want to condemn.
No.
Secularism actually plays two roles.
Yes.
To some nomenclature, it can be classified as evil and bad. To some, it's not as bad as we want to think. Because even the clothes we wear, made from the factory, and these are just fabric made from cotton and such, and one could think these are secular things. But then secular things with a religious symbol, for example, the kef you're wearing, when you put it, it's an Islamic, it is symbolically symbolizes who a Muslim is. And now, this one is not even a Christian. I am just wearing our suits like anybody else. It's not religious. Maybe if I put the Roman collar,
that's now
maybe that could have been representing religious entity. So there is no state religion, and therefore we do not have a religious state. within our context in
I
Kenya.
understand that.
Now, while that is to be understood, I then again come to make explanation about.
And maybe before you make that explanation, would you want to see a president who is a pastor or a reverend? Would you want to see that? Someday, not even today, but someday, would you want to see that? Because I would really want to see a sheikh, okay, an imam who is a leader, who is our president. Why do I want to see that? Because when we have a righteous leader at the helm of leadership of a country, then I'm very, very sure that even the citizens are going to enjoy. But if we have...
You're making a mistake somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not cutting you short, but at least I'm intervening in order to explain a point as you pick up. According to you, you think when there is a righteous leader in power, then that by extension trickles to the people is leading to be righteous.
Yes.
I don't think so. I don't think so because for a leader to get into power, it's a process. This leader has come from the masses.
Yes.
The members of the public. And those members of the public is the one, you remember, maybe I'm becoming religious here. In our Bible, I know the Quran doesn't recognize that, about the crucifixion of Jesus. There was a guy called Barabbas. He was a robber and a murderer. And you know, the same Jews who were telling Jesus at one time when he came to Jerusalem that Hosanna, Hosanna in the high, are the ones who said, crucify him, release Barabbas. And Barabbas is a robber. And Barabbas is a murderer. So basically, that to me explains how the society can be influenced by very corrupt people. Corrupt members of the society can be there, and they can influence the minds of main members of the public who are not well informed, and they make a wrong decision by installing a corrupt person, and even releasing a person like Barabbas and what. So which means it is possible, if the society is corrupted, that you can get a corrupt leader into power.
Yes.
So then, the leader who is righteous has come as a result of the public that is righteous. So a leader who is a dictator is because even members of the public are actually dictatorial in nature. And so they have brought one of our own into power who is coming to oppress them again. And so that's why Pharaoh, who was oppressing Israel, maybe you can refer to that story. We could make an allusion or interpretation from our context to say, wasn't there any prophet in that country, kingdom, who could challenge Pharaoh? Why will Pharaoh become so dictatorial and test what one Israel and mean is oppressing Israelites? And there was nobody to challenge him. There was no righteous person. So if there are no righteous people, the voice of righteous people goes quiet, what happens? Evil people get into power and they come and control. That's why we need people who can speak.
And what do you make of religious people?
Yes.
Religious leaders now. Because if they want to distance themselves from politics, because I know this is a standpoint of very, very many people, that they should not. But I think that the religion should engage itself in politics. And if that is the case, if we have a pastor, as our president, we have an example in Zambia now. We have
it's actually
Malawi.
Actually, it's a bishop of our church.
Of your church?
Yeah, it's my church bishop.
I tend to believe that he's going to lead his citizens righteously and probably root out corruption. I believe that. Because if he's going there with total, submission to God Almighty, that I only want to serve my people with leave from you, then I trust he's going to jail some corrupt people. And this is why I am of the opinion that the religious leaders should see what they can do when it comes to politics. They should not, just sit out there.
Maybe for some clarification, we had Akaranga, reference Bishop Akaranga of, I think, is it Pentecostal Church in Figa. He was a governor. He was one time a cabinet minister. And we have now elected Mwangaza. Mwangaza is a bishop. And her deputy, Nyeri governor now. Governor-elect, not elect, has been sworn in. Now the Nyeri governor is a lady called Bishop Mwangaza. And then her deputy is a reference also. We had reference Mutafa Musimi, was one time member of parliament. We have our religious people actually in power. And who are, this one, Professor Kifuta Kibwana, He did the same master's degree you told me, which I did at African International University, Missions, Islamic Studies and Cultures. And he was leading Makweni. People were saying there was good leadership in him. While it is true, one could say those in religion should come and lead us. But you see, the practices in political power and machination there, I've done a little bit of it, are different from the way things are done in the church. While in the church we refer to the Bible, there we refer to the Constitution and other international laws and treaties, and there are other things that are unwritten, what we call unwritten laws, where this president, for example, someone has invaded your country. While the Bible says do not kill. But as president of the country, you order your soldiers to defend your country. Yeah. Like the way we said, now Al-Shabaab are invading Kenya, and we wanted to see how we can.
I think coming to that, because we have to address this issue.
Yes.
And there's a question that is coming in.
Yes.
You know, shouldn't the religious leaders now come and clean the murky waters of politics? Because if you say, when they come, there are some written laws, and they may not match. We are coming to address that after we come from the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our discussion, the place of religion in world politics. And before we went for a break, we were addressing an issue. It was a question that was coming in. Don't you think that the religious leaders should come and, navigate and clean the murky waters of politics? And if they don't want to come, if they don't want to sanitize the mess in politics, who is going to do this?
My brother, I think, is political leadership the same as religious leadership? Maybe we need to address that question. For religious leadership, it's a question of being called. God has called you into that office, and so you are carrying out God's work that God has called you. Maybe someone will say, yes, I've been called into political leadership. That happened in England. William Wilberforce was to choose to be an Anglican priest or go into politics to clean the mess we are saying, the issue of slave trade. And actually, he went there, and he brought so many laws to abolish slave trade during that time. He fought for it until eventually he succeeded. Then later he died. Immediately he succeeded, he died when slavery was abolished. If God has given clear communication to you as a religious leader that go to politics, possibly that's what has happened with our bishop in Malawi, go to politics and then do that cleanup. That is so good. Obey the voice of God, go. But if God has not, what I have found in Kenya as observed here is political leaders, religious leaders seem to mistake the big masses in their crusades. That happened with one of our political leaders who fight to be president, even fight to be MP, he lost. Fight to be president, he lost. Simply because
you mean he was confused with the masses that he has in church and
not
probably
in church,
stadiums
in
and all
crusades,
that?
In crusades, those big rallies.
So he thought this would translate into some votes.
Into votes, becoming president. He lost. I don't want to mention names for purposes of confidentiality, but Kenyans can remember such leaders. And there are many others who have been vying for political offices.
But don't you think some of them are genuinely, genuinely having the urge to come and correct messes in politics?
The messes in politics are there. But you see, in politics, you're not the only one governing.
Yeah.
For example, you are a president up there. How do you control your ministers, your corrupt ministers? How do you control your corrupt principal secretaries? You are just there. And you are surrounded by people who will actually not make you understand what's happening in the system. The system is so huge that that corruption can just take place under your feet and you won't know. You won't know. Maybe you will say, I will bring clean people. The church is the one that's supposed to clean those people. It is a person who has the fear of God that has come as a result of that person's conviction because of that person's faith or belief that can get into power and able to exercise what that fear of God means by doing the right thing. But those people should be cleaned by the church. Does that mean then a bishop should come and be the president of this country? I don't think so. But the bishop should make members of his church to be faithful. Then those who are called into political office, yes, he should pray and encourage them to go.
I think in as much as he'll be praying, but I think some things have to be done. Action has to be taken. Okay, and giving an example, after the initiation of the county governments,
Yes.
I think if history will be faithful, then we have a history in one of the counties. I think it's either Mombasa or Lamu or something.
Yes.
One of the counties
Yes.
actually sat down
Yeah.
within their bylaws and laws, whatever they call it,
Mm.
and they banned one certain type of drug,
Yeah.
and they said it is no more acceptable in our society.
That's right.
And it was really messing up the society.
Yes.
Now this is a vice which is hurting Muslims and it is hurting Christians. You see,
All people
and
in society.
if
Yes.
if we may have religious leaders, championing for this and actually even sponsoring bills
Yes.
to the county assemblies, to the parliament, and to the highest offices, and they champion for this, that we do not want this, we do not want this. I personally think that this is a way of starting to clean these messes. But if we are going to sit back and think that, let politicians deal with their thing and let religious leaders deal with their thing, they really don't care. They will come, you will pray for them, they will kneel down, they pray for them, and they say a lot of amen. But when they go out, they start doing their thing, and they really don't care. They don't give
I think we are making a mistake here.
Yeah.
That because I'm religious, trained in Bible and theology, so then I'm well versed with political machination and how politics is supposed to be done. I mean, doing public role. It may not necessarily be. Possibly my training, my conviction, and my preparation is more suiting the religious participation.
Yes.
Which I can challenge people on religious matters and religious consciousness. But I will encourage, because you see, in the church, there are many faithful people, Bible-believing people who believe, who trust the Bible and practice the Bible.
Yes.
These people with that conviction and belief will get into politics, and they are able to fear God. And because they are in politics, whenever they make decisions, because president has got so many advisors, some of the advisors may be religious people. What I will say is, yes, a religious person can play the advisory role, but a religious person doesn't have to be the next governor, the next president, holding an executive office. Yes, I'm not refusing that they should not.
Yes.
I am saying whatever a religious person does, not members, I am talking for clerics.
Clerics,
If God has called them into political office, let them go and know that they are going there to serve God in the same way they were doing in the church. But even as they are there, they should know in the society, they are atheists, they are free thinkers, they are secularists, they are humanists. There are all these other groups. Those groups too need to be given a voice. It is not because you are religious that you oppress them. In any case, God has allowed the society to be as it is.
Actually, even in the Islamic standpoint,
Yes.
God, recognizes the fact that we live with different people.
Yes.
People of different faiths.
Yes.
He tells us in several verses, قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ. People of the book, the people who are given the book, that's the Jews and the Christians and all that.
Yeah.
Come, let's reason together
That's right.
on matters that, govern us.
What we are doing now.
Yes,
What we are
matters
doing.
that are, cardinal to our lives.
Yes.
But فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا, if they don't, just leave them.
Yeah.
Let them be. So we are not going to force anybody. Religion doesn't force anybody to do something.
Yeah.
But I think it is our moral obligation
Yes.
to correct messes when they arise.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually personally think, and I will actually advocate for that.
Yeah.
I want to see a president who is a pastor. I want to see a president who is a sheikh. I want to see a president who is God-fearing. I want to see that.
I don't need a president who is a sheikh or a president. In America, Billy Graham was, in fact, has been an advisor for many presidents in America. I think since Reagan or so, since 1950s, 40s there.
Yeah.
He has been in the White House many times. And whenever American soldiers are going for war, he's the one who comes there and prays for them.
When they are going for war.
The prayer is not that they go and destroy where they are going.
Yeah.
He has a responsibility over his citizen to pray that God may protect them, that they may have the wisdom of God, of course, they are going like for peacekeeping. There is war between one country
Yes,
and the
there
other.
must be some
And they are going there as peacekeepers. And so when they are going there, they are to be prayed so that God may protect them. It is God who protects everyone.
Of course, yes.
Not them alone, but even the people they are going to protect, that God may protect them as well. That's the role of the religious leader. It's not that go there and destroy, because we will be going against the scripture again. Everybody belongs to God, even those who are evil. But then, I am saying, let a religious leader, and you know, for religious leaders, election, politics is by election. So, will you want to tell a bishop to go and campaign, convince people, and you know in Kenya how politics is done? You have to give something.
I think that we may be having a dilemma here. But I urge you, if you are not going for the top seat, okay, I would want to be a president one time, okay? And I
as
hope
long as you don't Islamize our country.
Yes, not Islamicizing anything.
This is an Islamic
just ruling
Republic
over
of
you
Kenya.
with justice, okay? With justice, a lot of justice, okay? And yes. I would want you people,
yes,
maybe the Christian community or maybe the Hindu community, come to the policy formulation, you know, levels, okay? If you don't want to go there, we'll be going there. But come to the policy making levels so that we work together. But again, I would want to remind our viewers that these discussions are carried forward to our Twitter space, and you will be following the handle and the time when we'll be having the discussions later in the night. But I think you really need to follow, because time is limited and we cannot cover everything in the same go. So maybe others will be carried forward to that Twitter space later in the night. So please make sure you follow us keenly, and you document as many questions as possible, and you have to ask them. Don't fear anything. Ask them, however derogatory. Ask them. My brother.
Yes.
As we wind up,
because
our time is really running very fast, what do you make of famous revolutionaries, religious revolutionaries in history that we have had? People who came and brought massive change. I'm talking of the late Dr. Martin Luther King, who was a Christian cleric and made a lot of contribution to the black movement in the US. We are talking about Al-Hajj Malik, Shabazz, that is Malcolm X. People who came, who, they just sprouted, and, they changed the system. The system was very, very, very bad. It was repressive and not giving the black community in the United States any space. But they sprout up and they made the changes that were needed. And for the first time in history, we had a black president in the White House. I think that if they sat down, they sat back, and they sat on the fence, and they said, we are only going to be spiritual, we are going to pray for our people, and there's no problem, we could have not gotten a black president there. And we could have not gotten the changes that came after them.
That's right.
Now, what do you make of them? People like Martin Niemöller in Germany. People, very many people. Even
Martin Luther of Germany, who brought reformation.
Even Martin
Reformation,
Luther. And even locally, the likes of Ndingi Mwananzeki, Sheikh Khalid Balala,
that's right.
Mutawa Musimi. What do you make of them?
Bishop Alexander Muge.
Did they do something that we are now, dismantling?
These are the people we are lacking in our country. And these voices are actually disappearing. And now we are not hearing. That's why I've been trying to follow and listen to Bishop Mweria of Nyeri. He's not as fiery as Mwananseki, but he's doing his best in the circumstances. We'll have expected Njuye to do much as cardinal, but maybe he's everyone is different. We cannot impose him to be Mwananseki. But we lack these voices. We need these voices in our society.
There is a vacuum.
There is a vacuum right now.
I think this is what is really pinching me somewhere. I think there is a vacuum somewhere.
Yes, speak, but you don't have to be president for you to do so. You don't have to be governor or senator for you to do so.
But if God wills, I'll be a president. God willing.
If God has spoken to you, God has spoken to you, that is good. But I'm saying we need such voices in our society. Voices that can challenge the leadership that's there.
Which is retrogressive.
Retrogressive. And try to speak for the society. Not people who are selfish. It is people who are well respected. People that when they speak, they are listened to.
People who have their values.
Who have values. And even those same politicians respect them. When you are within your lane, When you speak, they will listen, but you remain within your lane. The only thing is, you can imagine, by the way, between a king and bishop or pope or the cleric, I thought the religious office is the highest. Why will you admire a worldly office?
Give them your last advice.
My last advice to clerics is that remain within the church. But in the church, let's do our work well by training and preparing and teaching our members to observe the teachings that Christ left us with. And these teachings are the ones that bring reformation to the society, transformation to the society. These teachings are the ones that will prepare them for even public leadership, where if they get into power as presidents, as governors, as senators, as MPs, or even MCAs, or whatever position they hold in the society, even in the cabinet, there will be people who can be recognized as having values, as having a message that translates into bringing blessings to the society. And that is what we want. Not necessarily them becoming presidents. Let them remain where they are, but they remain the voice of God in the society which they belong to. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, my brother Oliver Erupe. He is an evangelist, and you have heard what he has to say. Just to remind you again, our Twitter handle or our handle in across all platforms is at Horizon Kenya, at Horizon TV Kenya. I think you will get it very, very clear. It will be displayed on your screen. So let's engage. Even after this program, let's engage, and so that we may shape the society. I was your presenter, Omar Al-Bashir. Until we meet next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.